The state of the world right now is not exactly the most safe or stable that we've seen over the recent decades. And because of that, the many nations of the world are likely looking to make sure that their powerful armies and navies are up to snuff to face just about any threat that comes their way. For the United States, that means going to make the most advanced vehicles in the world, and that includes the newest and best submarine ever built, the USS Vermont. And this is a sub that apparently the world is rather afraid of. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 6. A very advanced submarine. Not unlike most vehicles of the world, the more that a vehicle gets reiterated and then improved upon, the better it evolves over time with all sorts of new technologies. That's one of the many reasons that the USS Vermont, a Virginia-class submarine, is one of the most advanced ever made. Not just because it has a nuclear reactor that powers it, but various other equipment that allow the 32-person crew to do all sorts of work without needing to be taxed. Such as having a unified mast, which was not something that was on the previous subs. Rather, they had masts that were spread throughout the sub, but by having them all connected, they're able to do scans and other jobs much easier, thus making the sub more compacted and efficient. As if that wasn't enough, it has very advanced systems that can allow for easier control of the vessel, be able to detect things like mines, enemy radar, and more. It also has a pump jet engine that allows the submarine to go around 25 knots, have better control in the water, and arguably the most important factor, it lets the ship go much quieter through the waters. Number 5. Incredibly adept sonar systems. We've already talked a bit about the sonar of the ship, but in the case of the USS Vermont, it's much more advanced than it sounds. For example, it has several layers of sonar that allows it to process all sorts of information all the time, including having it literally working around the vessel so that it can detect even the tiniest of fluctuations. Another example is that it has a sonar that works in tune with its battle system. So if it detects a ship, it'll inform the battle system so that it's perfectly ready for combat on a moment's notice. Even the skin of the submarine is equipped with points of radar to detect information and help avoid anti-submarine objects from interfering with it. There are even acoustic sonar systems within the sub to allow it to have more ears, so to speak, and thus detect all sorts of threats on the basis of sound and not just form. If you're still looking for a hard number to help define how powerful this radar system is, we got your back. Because it's stated by some that the power of the sonar system that the USS Vermont has is able to detect a ship from 3,000 miles away, which is obviously a long distance, but it can be used in not just preparing for action, but warning other ships in the area who may have not noticed the ship's presence. Number 4. Attack power. Obviously, a submarine like this isn't just built for being powerful in terms of detection systems. It's powerful because of its ability to go and do damage on threats that are nearby or far away. The USS Vermont is technically a nuclear attack submarine, but it has a wide array of armaments to go and do damage from the sky and the waters it's in. For example, it has Tomahawk cruise missiles that are able to do all kinds of damage to threats. There is also the Mark 48 torpedoes that are perfect for fighting other submarines. But that's not all. There's a belief that this sub will be able to wield global threat missiles. Missiles that are able to, according to the Navy, attack any target in the world in just 1 hour, which would put it at speeds between Mach 10 to Mach 20. But ignoring that for a moment, having a submarine that can do this much damage and with such a range is a rather impressive thing. Not to mention, it can go and do various things like act as a deterrent to certain military actions or remind other nations that proving the United States is a lose-lose scenario. And sometimes the threat of an action is more important than the actual action itself. So yeah, the Vermont here is a very special submarine, and if more like it are made, it could really boost the presence of the US Navy into far reaches. That is, if we don't go broke first. Number 3. The cost of power. As you've no doubt seen over the years, when it comes to the latest and greatest of just about anything, it costs a lot of money to get it built, shipped, etc. And for nuclear-powered submarines, yeah, it doesn't get any more expensive than that. The cost to make just one Block 4 sub like the USS Vermont is around $3.5 billion for just one sub. So if they wanted to make 100 of them, for example, that's $350 billion they would need to shell out. And that would be a lot of money that the United States could easily put into things to benefit the country outside of having a strong navy that was already pretty strong to begin with. Which is already bad enough. But then the shocking truth of things puts it even more into perspective. Number 2, the future is already underway. As scary and powerful as the Block 4 sub known as Vermont is, the US Navy is already working on their next model, the Block 5. One that is said to have even more advances in technology to make it an even deadlier threat in the waters, including outfitting them with the technology to go and launch nuclear warheads with great ease, much more than past models have done in the decades prior. Not that the United States will openly admit to that outside of a test fire. So that means that though they already have arguably the most advanced sub in the world, they're already preparing for the next wave, which begs the question. Number 1, is this too much? That is a question that many have been asking recently in regards to the militaries of the world. Are these advancements too much? It's honestly a hard answer to say because there is no right answer. Because what might seem like overkill now may be vital later. Or what might seem vital now may be deemed unnecessary in a few years' time. But for now, Americans can take heart that the Navy is taking its mission seriously, and that is something to be glad about. There you go, a look at the incredible submarines that are in the making or have been made recently by the US Navy and can truly change the world. What do you think of them? Do you understand why the US Navy wants them in their arsenal? Or do you think this is too much? Let us know in the comments down below. Remember to hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time on the channel.